Hello everybody, welcome to Tourism in Action. Well, it's the new year and last week I got you exercising and I cannot think of a better place to take you walking than the Vermont Nature Trail. So I've decided to come trekking today and now I've heard it's a really lovely site and I cannot wait to see what's in store for me. I really hope we see a few parrots today. One of the first things you encounter when you walk up the stairs is this building. Now this is currently the Interpretation Center, but not for very long because it's soon to be replaced. I promise you before I leave today I will show you what the new building looks like. It's very grand. I'm going to go inside and look for a young lady whose name is Arlene. She knows all about this place, so follow me through. Arlene! Good morning, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
Thank you very much for letting us in. You've got quite a wide array of things going on in here.
We have some display here from the Forestry Department, the Tourism and Culture.
Okay.
And also we have some signs that we have here, some species of the tree, species of the snake. They are the white, the Congo and the black snake.
Wonderful. Now, Arlene, one of the things I really came through to look at is this wonderful painting that's over here. I've seen this before and I remarked to you last time how amazing it is. There's so much detail going on in it.
Yes,
Do you know
the detail of our parrot, St. Vincent parrot flying, our helicorner flower,
Okay.
and the huge tree that also the parrot also nests inside of this picture. And we have a lot of visitors always fall in love with this painting.
Well,
here.
I can see why. It's certainly a glorious picture. It must have taken hours of dedicated work.
Yes.
Do you know anything about the painter who did it?
Well, no, I don't know nothing about the painter, but it's a Canadian dude.
A Canadian guy. Well, we've only just begun. We've got 2-hour hike and I'll make sure you see us on our way back, see what state we're in. In the meantime, it's lovely to meet you, Arlene.
Okay, welcome.
Have a lovely day.
Okay.
Thank you. Decisions. Which way shall we go? We can go that way or that way?
Well, actually, we are standing at the juncture of both trails. Normally, when you're traveling along the trail, we go this way.
Okay.
As the entrance to the trail. We go up to the Parrot Lookout Point, and then we come around, and this is the exit.
Oh,
So
I
the
see.
exit and the entrance of this part of the trail meets at the same place.
Right.
The sign, there's normally a sign here, and in our work later on, we'll be replacing this sign to show visitors where the entrance and the exit sign, the
Right.
exit route will be placed.
Okay.
Now, if we look around us, Andrew would have mentioned to us before that we had plantations on this site. Around us, we see some of what might be familiar to us, but not at such a large scale. We have the Christmas tree plantation or the Caribbean pine plantations. At Christmas time every year, the Forestry Department will take some of these younger crop, not from the Vermont Nature Trail, but from other plantations, take some of the younger crop into the Forestry Department, where persons will come and purchase some of these trees for Christmas trees. But here, the Caribbean pines, over 40 feet tall, are being used for soil conservation. They have been planted on lands abandoned by farmers many years ago to protect the soils that would have otherwise been washed away.
Wonderful. They've created a lovely carpet on the floor here.
Yes,
They're pine needles.
They do, because they do have some chemicals inside of them that prevents plants from growing in very thick densities.
Okay.
They also help us to maintain the trail, which we use for the Vermont Nature Trail.
Well, there you go. We're learning something new today as
Well,
well.
even I'm going to be learning today.
Andrew, lovely looking stream, isn't it?
Very much so. You'll realize that since our hike has begun a couple of minutes ago, we'd have passed about half a dozen or so streams. The Vermont Nature Trail is 10,870 acres.
Okay.
Several streams traverse the entire watershed.
Okay, we're not just going back over the same one.
Oh, certainly not.
Okay.
Certainly not. The thing is, it's hard for the visitor like me to pass in through this lovely scenery, this lovely forest, and not wanting to cool off in some of these streams.
Yeah, it's very tempting, isn't it?
Very much so. However, we wish to remind the prospective or the returning visitor to the Vermont Nature Trails that we are in a forest reserve,
Okay.
an area set aside just for hiking, for sightseeing, for photography, for bird watching. but unfortunately the water is sort of off limits.
Right.
Remember, there are 3 government agencies managing this forest reserve. The Forestry Department in the first instance, the National Parks Authority,
Okay.
as well as the Central Water and Sewage Authority.
Right.
And it is significant to note that the CWSA, their laws supersede all other agencies
Right.
as far as the management of the reserve is concerned. Because these days now more and more people are clamoring not just for quantity but quality
of
water.
water.
And
Yeah.
we have to be reminded too that this water feeds a significant portion of
Right.
the rural and suburban population
We need to
of
keep
this
it
part.
pure and not polluted.
So we must keep it pure. No bathing is allowed, no fishing, because all the streams drains into the major catchment that are managed by the CWSA.
Wonderful. And on that note, let us continue our hike.
Sure.
Let's look what I've just gathered up. Aren't they beautiful?
Yes, they surely are. Those are the hibiscus flowers, and to tell you the truth, we have saved them for a little spot higher up for you.
Okay.
There's so much to see in the forest here that we just have to make sure we do not flood you with everything at once.
No.
At this point, what we'd like to point out to you is the cocoa plantation that is around us. You can see the cocoa fruits actually growing on the trees directly
Those
from the
pods
bark,
growing around there.
and we have a nice yellow one right between them.
At what point would you pick it? Which one of those is ready for picking?
Well, on the nature trail here, none of them are ready for picking because on the nature
Hypothetically.
because on the nature trail, everything that is here is for the wildlife, and we are
Right.
encouraging our visitors to please leave them for the wildlife. Remember, it's a reserve, and we have to make sure that we leave food for them.
Okay.
But if you were in another plantation, in a real cocoa plantation that you can pick in, we will perhaps harvest them at the yellow stage
Okay.
that is just behind us. Just after they have turned their green stage and into the yellow stage, we see a nice rich one right behind there. These are mainly used by bats at the moment, and when the bats open the pod, then other birds may come and eat some.
Right.
The thing that is very interesting about our rainforest is that our rainforest, whenever you look at it, tells us a story. And people might say, oh, it's really strange to see cocoa trees growing in the forest. But this is because, as I said before, the forest was once, many parts of the forest were once farmed by people before the area became a reserve.
Okay.
So these plantations remained abandoned by farmers who left the areas. And by that time, the wildlife would have got accustomed to feeding here. So we have left them for the wildlife and to let people know a bit about the history of the area.
Before we move on, I just want to show you this great big huge tree over there. Look at the size of that. It's straight through the bushes. Isn't that phenomenal?
Yes, that's a Santini tree, and to tell you the truth, that's quite small. We have
Really?
yes, we
There's
have
bigger ones?
We have a bigger one higher up to show you, and we're going to put you to a challenge a little later on.
Well, I'm always up for a challenge. You like my little plastic snake? I got that for Christmas.
Oh, it's very interesting.
I thought I'd bring him along for the ride.
Well, I'm glad you did, because one of the things that when people hear about Nature Trail, the first thing they think about snakes. There are going to be snakes on the trail, which is true. We do have snakes here on the trail, but just like your little friend here, all of our snakes, all of our 3 snakes are harmless. None of them are poisonous, and in fact, many of them, even the children, once you're not scared of snakes in general, many children would hold them in their hands and pet them. So we do encourage people to recognize that our snakes are not poisonous. We're one of the few countries in the Caribbean who has snakes that are not poisonous, so we should really be grateful for that.
What other wildlife would you find when you're up here?
Well, St. Vincent has 3 endemic species, which is our St. Vincent parrot. You might hear him in the background a little later on. The black snake, which is similar to this snake, but
Okay.
about 3 feet long and entirely black. And we also have the whistling warbler, a small bird about 5.5 inches long, black and white. People travel from all over the world just to see these 3 animals, and St. Vincent should really be proud to know that we have animals here in St. Vincent that are causing people to leave their homes from millions of miles away just to come here to see them. Other birds would include the trembler, which we saw earlier, 3 species of hummingbirds, the rufous-throated solitaire, and some other wildlife, the opossum, the armadillo, and the opossum is the manaku, and I've run out of so. We have so many. My mind is really gone.
Okay, great. Well, let's continue our walk.
Okay, thank you.
Gorgeous little lookout point this is.
Yes, Diane, this is one of the main attractions, the major attractions for many of our visitors, the Parrot Lookout Point.
But it's so well thought out, it just seems like it fits nicely, snugly right in this little corner right here.
Well, this is to ensure two things: to make sure that the visitor gets as much of a view of the birds in their natural habitat as possible, and also to ensure that we do not disturb the birds. So it's hidden into the forest so that as the birds fly into their natural range or across their natural range, they do not feel as if we are here to disturb them.
Okay. It's so tranquil. We just saw a few birds flying away, but we weren't quick enough to catch them.
That's the thing about parrots. They're very shy birds. Sometimes they would be just over us looking at us, but as soon as they recognize that you know that they're around, they would fly off. They're very observant birds. They like to look at people, but they do not want you to look at them. One of the other things we can look at is we probably would hear some of the birds as we go along, the parrots especially in the background. But if we look into the vista or into the valley there, we see much of the natural forest that is still remaining here. We would have told you earlier that plantation forests cover some of the lower parts of the nature trail because at that time farmers used to occupy those areas about 30 years ago. But as we get higher up, we see more of the natural forest coming in, and then is when you start hearing more of our birds that belong to the rainforest.
One of the other things I like about this point is that you can sit and rest. It's been quite an exhilarating walk, isn't it, since we left?
Well, the only thing you can really, when you want to look at birds, the best thing you can do is really relax and look at them. So we have tried to tie in both things for you to ensure that the visitor feels relaxed and also observes the birds at the same time. Grab a quick snack, ensuring that they take their garbage back with them, of course, and observe the birds. You can stay here all day, just waiting for that opportunity when you can see the parrot in full flight.
But for us, it's time for us to start walking again.
Yeah, I think so.
Here we have a nice close-up view of the gomea, one of the major rainforest species we have. One of the tallest trees in the rainforest, one that the parrot choose as their nesting sites. The gomea has some significance for us. The latex is flammable and you can light a fire in the forest even in the wettest of conditions. We should also be reminded that the gomea is one of those species of trees that the Carib Indians, the indigenous people, used to make in their 40-foot dugouts. So we are Hmong heritage as far as our colonial past is concerned, and as a part of the history and folklore of our forest environment.
Well, that's the end of our walk. We're back to where we began. Thank you very, very, very much for this lovely hike that we just had.
And thank you very much. We hope that you enjoyed your trip here with us today on the Vermont Nature Trails.
We certainly did. And Andrew, I know I can't take these flowers out with me because everything that comes out of the forest has to stay here, right?
Unfortunately, Diane, remember we're in a forest reserve, and whatever you see here, unfortunately, you got to enjoy it and leave it here for the next group of visitors to enjoy.
I understand.
Thank you. See you the next time.
Thank you very much. But before we go, I want the viewers to see one last thing, and that's a beautiful new building that's going up down there. So
okay, so you can head on down.
yeah.